This is Engage New York, Module 1, Lesson 9. Read the objective out loud while I read it. I can add decimals. Yes. Using place value strategies and relate those strategies to a written method. So we're going to start with fluency practice. Now notice that our fluency is a little bit longer. When that happens, it means our concept development is usually a little bit easier. So let's go to Sprint. Turn in your book to our Sprint page, and we are going to be rounding to the nearest one. Everyone get on this page, put your pencils up, and get ready. Pencils up, ready, go. Okay. 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 14, 13, 14, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 90, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 13, 17, 17, 12, 12, 14, 14, 16, 16, 6, 8, 50, 4, 18, 12, 5, 13, 60, 6, 20, 20, 70. Go. 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 15, 14, 15, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 80, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 14, 18, 18, 13, 13, 15, 15, 17, 17, 7, 9, 40, 5, 19, 13, 6, 14, 50, 7, 20, 20, 60. Now let's switch back. Well done. We're going to decompose a unit for maybe 1 minute. We're decompose common units as decimals. So decompose that unit means to pull it apart. What makes up this number? Tell me what that number is made up of. Try it and come on back and check your work. Okay, so how many tenths are in 6 and 358 thousandths? How many tenths? So we have 63 tenths and 58 thousandths. How many tenths? 63. How many hundredths and how many thousandths? It's 58 thousandths. So we're going to write okay. Now, let's try one more. Let's try this one down below. 7 and 354 thousandths. I want you to do the same thing as what doing right here. Ready, go. All right, let's try it. So 7 and 354 thousandths should become how many tenths? 73 tenths. And how many hundredths and thousandths? It would be 54 thousandths. Or you could do a shortcut on this and go 73 tenths or 54,000. That's another way to annotate it. All right, moving on. All right, now moving to the back side. Round to different place values. So we did this last week a lot. 2 and 475 thousandths. Round to the nearest tenth. So if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, we just did a sprint using that. Then you're going to try rounding to the nearest hundredth. And then we'll round to the nearest, we'll round to the nearest hundredth on both of these. Go. All right, let's go ahead and check. So when we round to the nearest tenth, 2 and 475 thousandths. So this rounds that number up, this rounds that number up, and then that rounds that number up. So it would be 2.5. Then to the nearest hundredth, Here's the hundredth. That number is going to make that number round up. So 2.46. Rounding to the nearest hundredth again. Oh, this one might be tricky. That's going to round up. That's going to round up. Guess what? That's going to round up, and that's going to round to 3. You don't need to have the decimal and the zeros, but it just makes it nice to represent them if you need that. All right. One unit more. Say, write the decimal that's 1/10 more than the number that's here. So let's try it out for a sec. So 5/10. What would be 1/10 more than the number there? So 6/10 is also equal to 6/10. So let's go to 3/10. What would be 1/10 more than 3/10? Show me with your finger. What is 5/100? What would be 1/10 more than 5/100? Yes, you are guys correct. It's 0.15. And yes, I do like you to have the 0 point in there just to show that place value there. Okay, so now I'm going to let you try it for these last 3. And then go ahead and finish these last. Write one more than 1,000th. Write one more than 10th. Write one more than thousands. And then we're going to come back and check. Ready, go. Let's do it. Okay, 800ths becomes what? 0.18. 5,000ths becomes 0.105. 2,000ths becomes 0.102. Then write one more thousandths. So 0.053. Write one more tenth than 3,500ths. So one more tenth. We're going to add 1/10 right here and end up with 0.45. And lastly, write one more hundredth than 438 thousandths. So one more hundredth, we're going to add one more. So it's going to be 448 thousandths. Okay. Show me with your fingers. How did you do? Application problem. 10 baseballs weigh 1,417.4 grams. Now remember, a gram is like a little sugar cube. About how much does one baseball weigh? Round to the nearest tenth. So number 1, how much does each one weigh? Then part 2, round to the nearest tenth of a gram. Then what would you say? Part 3, what would you say if someone asked you how much one baseball weighed? Explain. Okay, what I want you to do, I want you to do your best. I'm going to give you 1 minute to try to solve part 1. 10 baseballs weigh 1,417.4 grams. About how much does each baseball weigh? Go. Okay, so if you have 1,417.4, that's how many 10 baseballs weigh. How much does one weigh? Well, if we have 1,417.4 and we divide it by 10, what do we end up doing to our decimal? We're going to move it. Show me with your fingers. Are we going to move it to the left or are we going to move it to the right? Remember, we're just dividing by 10. So we don't have to do this. We don't need to do that. We have a skill. We have a strategy. So if we have 1,417.4 for 10 baseball, that's grams, then we don't have to do it this way because we know how to divide by 10, hundreds, and thousands. So 1,417.4 divided by 10, is my decimal going to go to the left or is my decimal going to go to the right? Show me with your fingers. My decimal is going to move one time to the left, and I'm going to end up with 141.74 grams. Now it says to round to the nearest tenth. That's part 2. So part 1. Now part 2 is to round. So we know this would round to 142 grams. Part 3, if someone asked you how you did it, what would you say? Would you say, well, I know I have the skill. I know how to multiply and divide by 10, 100, and 1,000. I know I can simply move my decimal one place to the left and end up with 141.74 grams. That's where my decimal does when I'm dividing by 10, 100, or 1,000. If I divide by 10, it moves once. If I'm dividing by 100, it moves twice. If I'm dividing by 1,000, it moves 3 times, correct?